I've already welded this one here. We're gonna run a bead across here and across here. This was our first attempt. I got a little hot there. I noticed that I had the settings up. This is 1/8 inch thick. And so I set it from 4 millimeters back down to 3. And that seemed to be a better setting for it, for the thickness. Start up here.
All right, that's better. This started good. Then it got real ugly here and I felt like I was burning through, but I could have had the angle of the gun wrong. You want to keep the handle parallel to the surface and just let the wire feeder push it. But I might have been up here pushing the wire too deep. But anyway, this was better. Here, not so great here, but that's where I kind of got caught on this by the connection. And I think that was pushing me up because that looks a lot like what I got there. And then I corrected and got it and it looks better all the way back. So I'm going to move this one over here to press these down and keep those even. And I'm going to weld right down through here, but I'm going to stop when I get to that A. I may go ahead and weld that section, but last time I almost melted through. Will be good. So we want this parallel to the surface that we're welding. I think that's where I was messing up.
Go ahead and flip that over, and we're going to weld the other side. All right, we got that welded, so it's going to look like that. Second one actually looks straighter. The words don't look as good, but it looks a little straighter, so we may do it like that. Both the swing arms, the spars, those spacers for the engine mounts will go in, and the connections for the legs will go in there. And then once we have those, I'll probably put them in 3D printed first, just to test everything out, and then I'll make them out of aluminum. The cutouts of the spars. So this is what we were welding last time. The swing arms will go through there. Right now I've got bolts. You could rivet this if you wanted to lighten this up. But I'm going to put locking nuts on the other side and lock that down just for testing. And then the legs will go in here. They're going to be double the thickness of the spars. So they're going to be 1/4 inch and the spars are only going to be 1/8 of an inch. All of these connections here, I'm going to do those in aluminum later on. This is just for testing purposes, but I think that'll be strong enough as is. And that having those bolts in there, especially if you print these fully, and you don't have any infill, they're going to be strong enough, especially in ABS. So right now we're going to work on the legs. So this is the bottom portion of the legs. Since my CNC is not large enough, just like we had to do the top part of the frame in segments, we're going to have to do the bottom part in segments. All right, these are the spars. We're going to lock these down flat as possible and as straight as possible. Sorry, my dogs are in there fighting.
It went all the way through. I don't know if I even need to do it on both sides.
The side parts of the base frame, and that's going to have 2 layers instead of being 1/8 of an inch. These are going to be 1/4 inch thick. We'll start right here. And I also lowered, I went down to 2 millimeters and then went 3 millimeters wide on the beam for this. So 2 millimeters in depth and then 3 millimeters wide because I was burning through on those first few spars. You can see we've welded here. We burned through a little bit here. It's not going to be that big of a deal because we're going to lay some beads, not all the way down through here. And then we're going to pinch these together. I've got everything lined up right here with this side. So I'm going to start my beads and weld it there. That'll add any weakness that we may have here. We're not going to have to worry about here. And these are the legs that have been welded together. We still got some cleanup. We got to go grind those down, especially for the ugly welds. These are our spars. We've got one set of spars we still need to make. And then once we do that, we've got to do these lateral supports that connect the 2 legs together and bind them into one lower unit. So the lateral supports that we cut out, These are going to be the connections on the side, so lateral support's going to go through that. The connections sanded, and this is going to be our lateral support. It's going to go between the legs. It's not going to go down that far, but I wanted to make sure I could slide these on. They're going to go on either end. What I'm going to do is just put them in this position here and just weld them right here, so I know that they're already where I want them to go.
Settings right on this. See, we got a pretty good bead there. I'm going to put it on the other side too, but for right now I'm just going to get these set in position.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to weld everything that's down here first, because those are in position. These have been inserted, so I know they're going to fit. And then I'll kind of tap those down, flip it over, and weld. So I'm going to weld all of these to the frame, but I wanted this removable. So I didn't weld it to the legs. I did weld the connection, but I wanted to be able to draw that out if necessary, so that I could insert the gas tank and then put it back in. Now I may have to sand this one down just to make these slide in easier, and then I'll take a M3 bolt, 2 on each side, and then bolt that in. All right, that's gonna fit down on there. That lined up good. That lines up good. All right, this is gonna slide in there. That fit in good. That one fits in good. Just want to kind of see, yeah, that should be strong enough once we get the hoop in there too. Yes, there it is. Those are going to go on these spars, a bolt that's in the center, and then a way for that to connect. We're going to roll out, this was the top hoop segment on this one. We're going to match it up to what I 3D printed, but this will give us our bend guide, and I'll do about a half turn each time, and then we'll check it here in just a little bit. Pretty close, but we're going to get some spring back. We need a little bit more, so I'm going to do about a quarter turn. That's flat enough. Yes, that's going to work. Use this as my measurement tool to where to cut it at. Let's see how close I was. Yep, I'm right on there. Over here, yep. So we're going to have a 1/4 inch on each side. I just want to see where those are going to hit. It's fine if we have too much. I just want to make sure we got enough. All right, so we've got these connections. One has a place for the nut, and then one has a place for the bolt to insert down, so it's the diameter. All right, so we got this one bent. We're going to use it as a guide, and that fit in really well. We changed these connections and brought the angle up. That one now bends up, so the two bottoms, we made it, and then we mirrored it. The M3 bolts that kind of keep it in position. It's got the M5 bolt, so that this will fit snug around it, but it has a stainless steel bolt that goes through it. We're going to take this one off and use it as a guide and go ahead and get that cut out. Make sure we got this bent right, and we'll mark where we want to cut it. Try to get the same angle here, and then turn it into position. All right, so if that goes there, yeah, we got a lot of extra over here, which I'm fine with. We're going to cut this one first, and then pressing that up, and let's just see how that fits. I think we're good. I don't think we need to take any more off. Instead of pins, I'm going to make these strap connections. It'll go through the other connection, come back through that buckle, and connect those instead of pins. So that's where we're going to stop today. We're waiting on these to get through CNCing. We're going to run those together, and we're going to weld those in even though they're bolted in. So this is the second one. All right, this is the second side spar connection, and then we'll bring those over, flip them together, and weld them together. But a M8 bolt is going to go through there. Off any extra remaining elements there, but these should be good to go. These are our swing arm connections. These are the bolts. they'll also go through the frame, so that's why we have a little extra. Plus they're going to have locking nuts on it, so we want enough threads, 2 or 3 threads, to be above where that nylon is so they don't shake loose. 4mm bolts going through there. That swing arm connection is probably one of the most important, because if it fails and comes undone in some sort of catastrophic way, that could cause my glider to become unloaded. All right, so we got that welded up. We welded on each side. I'm gonna go take those to the grinder and just kind of grind them down just a little bit. I'm gonna take the spar connection out. I'm gonna take the swing arm connection, put it in, and then we'll go ahead and get it welded in on that side.
I shot that one too.
This is not gonna be the main gas tank. Eventually I want to design one that is form-fitting. Got the gas tank in, put the spout in. We're going to run this line inside here. We've got to get this locked back down. We're going to put a boat connector in here so that you can take the top half of the frame away from the bottom. Put a nut on this. It's actually going to act as a small spacer. We're using that to kind of pull this bolt through. That's a wing nut that has a hole drilled through it, so that we can tie that off so it won't shake loose. Prop that up. I'll get this one in first. These only go in 1/4 inch, I believe. I'm going to pull this top part off of the pull start. And we're going to go ahead and run it through instead of untying it. When I created the hoops, I wanted to make sure that it would fit inside my CRV. So it's forecasted to rain tomorrow, so we may get an opportunity to try that out. But we should have a small window where we can go fly.